everybody. Welcome to the Snow West Show. I'm Ryan Harris. Real quick, before we get into this episode, the Snow West Show is made possible thanks to Polaris Snowmobiles. And listen up, for December only, 5 lucky winners who purchase a sled this month will receive an automatic entry for a chance to get full reimbursement for the price of their sled. That's 5 people. You go buy a snowmobile in the month of December from Polaris, you're automatically entered to get full reimbursement for the price of your snowmobile. So go see your local Polaris dealer to check that out. Also, save up to $3,000 on select models. For the best season savings, go see your local Polaris dealer or find your closest dealer at Polaris.com. Also located in Big Sky, Montana, only 5 minutes away from Buck Ridge and Carrot Basin, 320 Guest Ranch offers lodging and accommodations for your next snowmobiling trip. Single cabins and large full cabins with kitchens are available. Check it out at 320ranch.com. Also sponsoring the show this year, Fly Racing is the #1 gear and brand in supercross and motocross, and they bring that same product innovation to snowmobiling. Whether it's monosuits, helmets, boots, gloves, or goggles, Fly Racing has you covered head to toe. Check them out at flyracing.com or Fly Racing Snow on socials. And thanks to Deviant Ink for supporting the show. Head over to deviantink.com and check out their custom wrap builder with their new interactive tool designs that make designing and customizing wraps really easy. Their new colorizer tool, it randomizes color combinations until you land on the look that you love. Then try the design mixer tool to see all the Deviant Ink designs in the colors that you've selected. Check it out at deviantink.com. Thanks for listening, and now back to the show. Hey everybody, welcome to the Snow West Show. I'm your host, Ryan Harris. Fun episode today here. We're going to talk about sledding in Japan. Tony Jenkins and Nadine Overwater, both ambassadors for Ski-Doo, and they're both on the line here with me. They had a little trip to Japan. I guess I wouldn't say little trip, but they had a big adventure in Japan earlier this last season, and we've got both of them on the line here, so I'm going to introduce them. Tony Jenkins, how are you doing, man?
Doing great. Just waiting for snow patiently.
It's slowly stacking up, like half inch by half inch.
It's a better start than last year. I'll tell you that much.
It is, yeah. And then Nadine Overwater. Nadine, welcome back to the show.
Thank you.
Good to have you on. All right, so why did you guys wind up going to Japan, of all places? Why Japan?
So let's rewind here. So everybody understands this is what we call Rad Rides. It's a series from Ski-Doo that's basically taking ambassadors and other influential people around the world riding and experiencing these different areas you can ride snowmobiles. So we've done South America, they've done Newfoundland, etc. It's growing, it's slowly growing. So our goal, one of them was Japan, and if people don't understand why Japan, it's because it's the snowiest place on earth.
Oh, even more than Utah, huh? That's a big claim.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's pretty cool because they ask us as the riders, like, where our dream trip would be. And for me and Tony both, it's like one of those trips that is on your bucket list that is kind of like a must-do place that you need to go and at least check out once in your life.
So did the two of you get to choose Japan and choose the destination?
We put our names in a bucket.
Yeah, and we probably nudged them pretty hard. I've been nudging them pretty hard that I really wanted, if I got to do any rad ride, that was the one I would really want to do.
All right, so walk through the trip. I mean, I'm sure every day is just full of stories and wild adventures, but for the average person that living in North America, just getting to Japan, let alone taking your snowmobile gear and lining up a machine to ride and getting out with the people there that know the area, it seems overwhelming. How did this all come down, day 1, day 2, day 3?
You're absolutely right. The logistics of Japan, getting there is actually easier than you think. You just got to get a calculator to understand that you're, I think it was 21 hours ahead, I believe. So yeah, just getting to Japan was the first part. But once you get to Japan, landing in Tokyo, you're overwhelmed by it's like landing in New York City, right? But you're there with a Ski-Doo snowmobile bag, and you're like, where am I going?
Well, and that was like one of the most hilarious things of this trip is like me and Tony both got selected to go. We're stoked. We're like, okay, what do we need to bring? What are we going to be doing? Sledding? Are we going to be doing tourist stuff? Like, what do I need to pack? And the production company wanted this thing to be a surprise for us, so they didn't want to give us any information on what we were doing. And, you know, when you're packing for a sled trip, you're already bringing a huge bag. And then you think, well, do I need winter boots? Do I need sandals? Do I need shoes? What else do I need? So we packed so much stuff. Like, we each had like 2 big bags and a backpack. And we were just like, you guys better be prepared for us at the airport to pick us up in like a cube van. And Tony, what did they pick us up in?
Oh, it was a small SUV. I mean, it barely fit our luggage.
Tony, I can't even imagine you fitting in a small SUV, let alone your luggage.
And it's not even that. We get picked up by the nicest people. One of the guys is from the cameraman, and I can't even remember his name. The other guy, he has his little infant son with us, and in the back seat with me and Nadine, and we have a baby sitting between us. We just landed in Tokyo. We didn't even sleep on the plane, and I look over at Nadine, and I see this screaming baby, and Nadine's feeding the baby random crunchies, and I'm like, what did we sign up for?
Oh, that's awesome. So did you fly into Tokyo, or where did you go, and where did you wind up riding?
Yeah, we did. We flew into Tokyo, and we actually spent like a bunch of days in Tokyo before we even went riding because, I don't know, it's pretty cultural. There's lots of really cool stuff to see around there. And then, so we did the tourist thing, and then we hopped on a bullet train and went across the main island to kind of like the west, like northwest coast. It would be, as a crow flies, kind of
Itagawa.
straight. Yeah, Itagawa was the community we were in, and because people probably don't know where that is, it's kind of like straight northwest of Nagano, where the Olympics were.
Okay.
Yeah, they call it, the mountain we rode was actually called Yakiyama. It's a privately owned mountain. It's been owned by the same family. I can't remember how many years, but just so people understand, like the Japanese culture, they really respect the land that they have, and it's a big deal for people to go and go riding off trail. But there is areas that you can do that in, and this is one of those small little areas in Itagawa. Well, it's kind of just east of Itagawa, but they call it the Japanese Alps, and the mountains are spectacular.
So is this government land, or it's probably totally different? This is privately owned?
Yeah, we're privately owned.
Yeah. There is some like national forest, but like there's also some areas that are like very religious, like your shrines and temples and all that. Like some of the shrines areas were like that whole mountain range would have been a shrine.
So latitude-wise, you're probably closer to, like, I don't know, Tahoe area, right?
Yeah.
And is the terrain similar, or the trees similar? Same type of trees, and what's the snowpack like? I imagine it's all coastal type snow.
I'll let Nadine answer that one.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't nail it for like the winter. You know, they didn't have the biggest winter, but the terrain is super cool. It's pretty accessible. It's not like there's steep stuff, but it's lots of pretty gentle riding. But the trees, that's where it was very different. Like it's these deciduous trees that are like the most rugged, tough alders you've ever rode through in your life, where you think here in Canada or the States you kind of brush trees and, you know, they hit you in the arm and you kind of just like push through them. There, if you even touch one, it would throw you off your sled and leave a bruise in a place. So if you run in, the trees definitely are firm. But yeah, it's very deciduous. It's not like conifer forest like we have. But yeah, it was such a cool experience, and we were able to get around pretty good. Obviously, it would have been nice to have that super deep, forehead deep snow, which we didn't have, but it allowed us to get around a little bit easier.
Yeah, I guess, you know, the snowpack we had over there is a more coastal snow. If you go towards Hokkaido, which is the island on the north of mainland Japan, that's where the dry, fluffy, like Japao is what they call it. But where we were at was mainland, and which I'm grateful for actually being on more of the mainland than going to Hokkaido, because I think mainland's got more extreme terrain, and we got to see some really cool sights in the mountains. But I think when we were there, our guide, Takashi-san, I want to say it was like we had about 20, 24 feet of snow, and that was a low year. Like usually there's 40, 50 feet of snow.
Wait, you were riding on 24 feet of snow?
Yeah, and that's a low year.
Tony, we were on 18 inches of snow most of the season last year. I don't know if you remember what it was like back here in Idaho.
People don't understand how much snow falls in Japan, but it's insane. And like they're known for getting 4 or 5 feet of snow overnight.
Yeah.
God, that's incredible. So you sent some pictures, Tony, to the group with Nadine and I. Which one is these tour guides that took you on the ride?
Oh, geez. I don't remember which ones I sent you here. Hold on.
Maury's son was one of the tour guides, and he was like the owner of the only Ski-Doo dealership in Japan. He would have been in the photos that were of us in the shop there, looking through older photos, but we were kind of standing together.
All right, I got those two guys pulled up there. So, and there's another gentleman there. They're both wearing Ski-Doo gear. Those are both. They run the dealership there too.
So did you get the photo with the father and son, and then me and Nadine?
Oh, that's what that is. Father. Okay, yeah. All right. Yeah,
that's a really cool story.
All right. And?
So sorry, I was going through the photo to find it. But anyways, we get to the dealership, and we don't even, as people understand, like I hope you enjoy this video that's coming out here in November, but like it was an experience for everybody, and we had no idea what to expect or where we were even going at any moment. So everything was a surprise. So we finally get to the dealership, and that's like anticipation is like you know me, like I'm like, all right, I'm done playing the games. Like get me there. I want to ride snowmobile. And we finally get to the dealership, and like the Japanese culture is incredible. Like they're disciplinary, like they're very respectful. Everything is clean, organized, perfect. And we get to the dealership, and sorry, Nadine, I'm gonna hack this, but I think it's what is it called?
YKK.
YKK, yeah. But the dealership, the original owner was a racer for Yamaha, and I can't remember his name off the top of my head right at the moment, but the son now runs the dealership, and he's actually a phenomenal Maury's son, I believe is his name. He's a phenomenal snowmobiler. Him and his son and the mechanic both can like legit shred and ride hard. And if you rewind to the original founder that brought Ski-Doo into Japan, he was racing for Yamaha and was racing the Scandinavian circuit. So if people are into like the history of snowmobiles, this is kind of one of those landmarks where, you know, this guy was racing for Yamaha and he was winning, doing really good. But when Ski-Doo came out, he tried it over in Scandinavia, and he's like, wow, this snowmobile works really good. It's got more power, but the suspension sucks. So he had a relationship with KYB, and he brought Ski-Doo to Japan, started distributing them, and was like, well, I want to make these better. So he ended up working with KYB and Ski-Doo and developing the relationship they have now with KYB.
Oh, really? So that's how KYB came to be on Ski-Doo, through this relationship.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
From what we understand.
Before, I just want to correct us. It's TKKY. Apologies for that. It was, just so we're getting the name right of the dealership.
TKKY. Now, there was a picture of a magazine as well. Is that the same thing, TKKY magazine?
Yeah. So, yeah, that's what's cool about this guy is, like, not only is he the dealership for Japan, but he's also kind of like an ambassador. Like, he makes his own magazine. the magazine doesn't open left to right; it opens right to left. And I actually brought this magazine back for you, and I just keep forgetting to give it to you. So I need to hand it over to you. But it's cool because he's taking his clients, like basically people who buy from him. He takes them out riding and he teaches lessons.
So how many snowmobiles are there in Japan, would you say? I mean, not like a specific number, but a lot more than people would expect.
The majority of the snowmobiles that are sold there go to the ski hills, so they're like trail or crossover models. I don't think, as far as mountain sleds, and correct me if I'm wrong, Tony, but I believe it's like a handful.
Yeah, I want to say Murray said that they sell I think it's like maybe 160 to 200 snowmobiles a year to the ski resorts, and then for mountain sleds it's maybe like 60 sleds.
All right, so riding, you got how many days did you spend on the snow riding?
I think we rode 3.5 days while we were there. And we were basically stationed right at this really cool lodge hotel with the onsens and everything, which are the hot pools that you can soak in that are like geothermal from the volcanoes. And we were riding right from our hotel every day. So it was pretty sweet that way.
So any funny stories or what were these rides like? Like how big of a group?
Oh man.
There's so much, we don't have enough time, honestly. Between the film crew, like I've never worked with the film crew before. That was it is what it is. All filmers are unique and they do a good job, but this was a very unique time with the film crew. One day we had a guy with Crocs trying to ride a snowmobile. Zero experience. So you kind of get an understanding. It was a total shit show.
It was a bit of a shit show. We had a really big film crew. Normally, me and Tony are used to working with 1 or 2 filmers, and these guys showed up with a full production. There was probably 15 people there, and I bet 8 to 10 of which they wanted to bring up the mountain. But we didn't have enough sleds for everyone, so we're kind of looking at each other how are we going to get up the mountain? And they're like, oh, we're going to walk. And we're like, we're going to the top of the mountain, so we'll see you in 3 days. And so we kind of took it easy the first couple of days and just rode some lower elevation stuff where we could get everyone easily. And at one point we turn around and see they had hooked up a toboggan to the trail sled and had 4 guys and about $150,000 worth of camera gear in this sled. And we're just this is not going to go well. That thing was tipping over. And yeah, we had a little bit of a struggle fest getting them up there. But by I think the second day, halfway through the second day, we were almost in the Alpine, but we lost the leather, so we didn't really want to get up into the Alpine anyways. And then on day 3, I think we kind of went for it. Hey, Tony, when we busted up that creek zone and sort of left them behind, and then they boot packed in up our trail. But it took us a while to get up there. It was super fun.
Yeah, it was an adventure, and for people that don't understand, when you go on these trips like this, I've been down to South America, over in Europe and Japan, the language barriers are always difficult, but Japan was very difficult. So if you don't know the language, which most people don't, if you don't have a translator, super difficult to navigate through there. But the experience in itself is incredible, and I will definitely go back to Japan because there was a moment that I'll never forget.
What was the food like? Outside of Tokyo.
A lot of fish. We got lucky. We got fed very authentically. So everything comes on a tray, and there's about 15 different small things of fish parts, and always a raw egg involved, and always a hot pot. So you're cooking your things in soup. And the food was really good, for sure. And the sake was also extremely
the
delicious.
sake was unbelievable. Yeah, we made some good friends in Japan, and Messiah he was a character. This guy was just nothing but smiles and happy-go-lucky Messiah, right? And his
Yeah.
family actually they owned rice farms, and so he brought us some of his really fine sake, and wow, yeah, it was amazing.
Yeah.
What about like what food did you pack on the rides? Like are these muff
So
pots and
we
hot
learned
doggers
how
over
to make
there?
rice balls.
Oh, really?
So every meal you have rice, and it's kind of like in Japan you don't waste food. So if you have leftover rice, you ask for saran wrap, and you make this little ball of rice, and you wrap it in saran wrap, and then put it in your pocket for the next day, and then you'd put some seasoning on it, and that was your go-to like afternoon snack. And then fish. We always had like fish.
Yeah, and I'll definitely send you some videos of Tony making his rice ball because
Okay.
it
Okay.
is
Now we're talking.
fun to watch.
It's a process.
Now we're talking.
But
Go ahead, Tony.
parts of the trip of like staying in some of these hotels, and in Tokyo they have nice hotels, but you get outside of Tokyo and it's more authentic Japan. And I guess I wasn't familiar with how Japanese culture you sleep on a kindergarten mat, so that was really hard to absorb and understand.
Yeah, on the floor, just these, maybe 2-inch thick, maybe 3-inch if you're lucky, little mats, and everything's just so basic and a lot of bamboo. And but you look out the window and you're just in like the most pristine, beautiful part of the world. It's pretty surreal. And that's the other thing is once you get outside of Tokyo and you get to like the west side of the island, like the onsens, every hotel has its own onsen. So you get to see like their little take, and it's so peaceful in there. And like you go in them naked, so it's always separate. The men and women have their own onsens. And it's just such a good way to end and start the day. And I wish we had more of that here, actually.
So
the onsens were special. Those were amazing.
24 feet of snow. Were you getting stuck?
There's a couple incidents, but like we were riding on some really hard packed. I don't know if like I'm sure we have some viewers on here, listeners that understand the Cascade concrete. It's very similar to that snowpack, but really really deep snow. So yeah, there was moments we hit rotten snow and it definitely sink through, and then you're really really stuck.
Yeah, and like the one day that we were like busting into the high alpine zone, me and Tony were kind of like, I think Tony was leading the way, I was kind of second and in guide mode, where I'm just like, okay, trying to build the trail, because there was like certain danger to it. Like if you like went low-sided, you were in a creek and it would have been a pretty bad day. So I'm just like thinking, okay, we got to get out this way. Let's like try and make a decent track so we can get out. And we look behind us, and all the Japanese boys were just rallying and like struggling a little bit, but like just trashing it. And it was warming up, so it was turning into concrete, and just like there's all I could think about all day. It's kind of like riding with Rob Alford, actually, where you're just like, how am I going to get home? How am I going to get home? And I did have a pretty good struggle fest trying to get out of there. I had to get Tony to help me.
Yeah, that was a treat.
Any broken parts, A-arms, any bumpers?
I had a tree, one of those birch trees or whatever you call those damn things, snagged my air vent and ripped it off, but maybe a ripped jacket. That was about it for me.
Yeah, I don't think our group really had any major damage.
We rode pretty conservatively. Like that's the thing you got to take into account is, if you get injured in a foreign country like that, do you end up in a hospital that you're not familiar with? Like, we're pretty spoiled in America and even in Canada too, with our medical system. Like, you're going to get treated correctly and quickly, but in Japan, like, you don't know what's going to happen if you get injured. So you got to be smart.
Yeah, I bet. Where where will this video be found, and when is it coming out, and all that? The Rad Rides video.
I believe it's coming out. I'll have to fact check this, but I'm pretty sure November 11th or in or around that date, it'll be coming out for Ski-Doo Rad Rides. So it'll be available on the Ski-Doo website and their YouTube channel.
I've got the November 11th on Ski-Doo Social, YouTube premiere launch on November 11th, and then we're hoping to do a live engagement with the viewers, and then a few teasers the week before.
So where does Japan rank, Tony? I'm familiar with all your overseas adventures. Nadine, I know you've been other places. I'm not sure exactly where, but where does Japan rank and this experience rank compared to other places you've been?
Well, it's kind of hard to pin that down. Like, you got to look at, like, as an all around. If you look at it just for riding aspect, I still think to this day, like, your local zones for riding with perfect snow conditions are the best. But for an overall experience, I would say Japan was top notch. I mean, just with the environment, the culture, seeing the different mountains, everything about that is what made that experience number one.
Nadine, what do you think?
I'd have to agree with Tony. Like, I feel like I'm a snowboarder too, so I would really like to go back and do some like sled boarding there. But I think top of my list would probably still be Alaska. It has my heart up there. But as far as culture and experience, Japan is a close second, if not a tie. And we're so lucky to be able to do trips like this and have machines available for us over there. And I'd do it again in a heartbeat.
Nadine, you sent a picture last night of the two of you, full sled gear, backpacks, helmets, goggles, everything. Is that downtown Tokyo?
I think so. That maybe supposed to be a secret, but yeah, we did some weird stuff. I guess you'll have to watch the full reveal to see.
It's actually really, like, you want to see an angry Tony or Sanchez? That's when the angry side came out of me. When I have a production team telling me I got to go back up to my 74th floor hotel and put my snowmobile gear on and come back down to Main Street of Tokyo, like in the thick of it. Like, you're talking that's like going down in Vegas off of whatever that street is.
The Strip.
And you're in the thick of it. And I'm wearing snowmobile gear with an avalanche bag and helmet. And thank God for Japan being so anime, because I felt like I was one of the characters from Pokemon.
People didn't even turn their heads at us.
Yeah, they didn't even turn their heads. I'm like, this is embarrassing, and I'm pissed. And everybody's just like, oh, just another idiot out here in Tokyo.
Well, I mean, that crew had to have known what they were doing, because a mad Tony is the best Tony.
I was laughing the whole time.
There are some frustrations. I will not deny that. You want to talk about frustrations? Go to the Tokyo train station. At a given moment, I'll bet you in the Tokyo train station, there's over 1 million people going through there, like ants trying to navigate the train system.
Yeah.
Not quite like Idaho Falls, huh?
It's insane. Like, there are so many people that you're just like, where are these people? How do they get food? Where does all this waste go? Like, you're just like, how is it not filthy here?
Yeah, the night robots, I swear to God. Like, when we were in Tokyo, that was something that I thought really stood out. Is like, it's like pretty party central down like in the red light district, kind of where we were staying. And in the evenings, you're going home from dinner and stuff, and it's just like a mess. Like, there's garbage everywhere. There's people out drinking, smoking, cigarette butts, like everything. And you wake up early and you come out and it's like it had been spot cleaned. Like, you would have no idea that people were partying there last night. And that blew my mind. I was like, how did they do that overnight?
Yeah, it was impressive. But I think also one thing to take, part of this experience is there's going to be some people that are going to ask, how can they go do this same experience? And It's not easy. Like there's other places in the world that you can get to and ride, but there is ways to get to Japan. If you're going to go ski or snowboard, that is definitely the easiest way. But to rent a snowmobile there and ride um, is definitely, you'll have to do some networking and understand how to make it possible. But I probably have some connections that I could point you in the right direction, and so does Nadine.
You betcha.
All right. Well, everybody, watch for this. Watch for the big reveal on November 11th, as Nadine and Tony said. Ski-Doo social media channels, Ski-Doo YouTube, Ski-Doo website. You can find out where to watch this video. That's coming out on November 11th. Ski-Doo Rad Rides. Tony Jenkins, Nadine Overwater. Thanks for coming on the show and talking about this trip to Japan. And looking forward to watching the video and then seeing where Rad Rides goes next.
Well, thanks for having us, Brian.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. Great winter.
Yeah, you too. Nadine Overwater, Tony Jenkins. We'll talk to you later. Thanks.